Good morning, Year 6. Today we're going to consolidate our knowledge of learning how to read scales and interpret scales on a variety of different measuring instruments before moving on to some problem-solving questions which involve reading scales. This lesson is building into tomorrow's lesson where we're going to need to be able to read the x and y axes of different bar and line graphs. I'm sharing my screen with you now. Please can you make sure, as always, you've got a paper and some pencil in order to do today's maths work. Some of you have started completing your maths work on the computer, but can I urge you to continue doing it on paper using a pencil? Because if you're on the computer, it will be very difficult for you to be doing your calculations correctly. I'd also like to reiterate that you do not need to print the worksheet. The worksheet can be written down, like all of the answers to the questions can be written on a piece of paper. You do not need to print the worksheet. I know lots of you are printing it, but you do not have to. You can do it just on a piece of plain paper. Also, well done to everyone who has been watching the entire video. It is really important that you're watching the video because just like in a lesson, you need to pay attention to all of the input that you're getting from your teacher. Now, we all wish that you were in school with us, but you're not, and so this is the best that we can do, where you can watch this video where the teachers are going through any common misconceptions they think you may be having, plus asking some challenge questions to stretch you. Well done to everyone who followed my instructions, my secret instructions on Monday's lesson carefully. Your secret instruction on Monday was to draw a carrot next to question 9. So to those of you who saw that secret instruction, well done. Okay, you're going to start off by doing your morning arithmetic. Remember, this must be done on a piece of paper and should be uploaded with the rest of your work. Please pause the video now and have a go at answering these questions. Right, we're going to go through the answers now. If you have not yet finished the answers to your morning arithmetic questions, please pause the video so that you can actually have the chance to work these out yourself. Okay, when multiplying by a decimal, we imagine it's not a decimal for a moment. So that's 6 times 5, which is 30, 6 times 4, which is 24, add 3 is going to be 27, 3 times 6, which is 18, add the 2, that makes 20. Then we remind ourselves how many digits were after the decimal point in the question. In this question, we had 1 digit after the decimal point, so we insert our decimal point with 1 digit, 207.0. When finding percentages, if it's something like 57%, rather than chunking, I prefer to use the multiplication method. But if you found the answer through chunking, that's also probably correct. 7 times 0 is 0, 7 times 5 is 35, 7 times 6 is 42, add the 3 onto that is 45. 0, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 5 is 25, 5 times 6 is 30, add the 2 is going to be, 5 times 6 is 30, yep, add the 2 is going to be 32. Now I'm going to add these up, 0, 5, 10, 4 add 2 add 1 is equal to 7 and 3. Now, because it's percent, which means out of 100, I now need to divide my answer by 100 by placing that decimal point with 2 digits afterwards, 370.5. For 2/7 times 490, the quickest way to solve this was remembering that times means the same as of. 2/7 of 490 is a calculation we can do in our head. 490 divided by 7 is equal to 90, and then times that by 2 will give you 180. Any method that you use to find the answer should have got you 180. Remember, when multiplying fractions, you need to convert your answer to a whole number where possible. In this question, we had 3,742 subtract something is equal to 1,983. First, I need to identify what I'm looking for. I know in subtraction, I start with the whole or the biggest number and I subtract the part. That means I'm looking for a part. I'm not going to do the inverse of subtraction. For this question, I need to do subtraction in order to find the other part. If you added your two numbers together, you're not thinking carefully enough about your part-whole models, and you're simply doing the opposite for missing number problems. But remember, that's not always the right thing to do. So let's start solving this subtraction. 2 subtract 3 is not possible, so I will regroup. 12 subtract 3 is equal to 9. 3 take away 9 is not possible. I'll regroup. 13 take away 8 is equal to 5. 6 take away 9 is not possible. 12 take away 9 is equal to 7. Sorry, not 12. 16 take away 9 is equal to 7. And finally, 2 take away 1 is equal to 1. Your answer should have been 1,759. This is a big maths question, so I'd start with my multiplication. 6 times 2 is 12, and then I'm simply doing add 3 onto that. Your answer should have been 15. If you did 3 add 6 is equal to 9 and then times that by 2, you were not following the rules of BIDMAS. Finally, your last question was long division. Now, I know some classes have learnt this in a different way. I'm going to go through it using the formal long division method. So long as you got the answer correct, it doesn't matter which method you used. 47 divided by 19. I start off by saying I know 19 doesn't fit into 4, and now I'm seeing how many times 19 fits into 47. In my head, I'd round 19 to 20, so I know that would fit 2 times. I now have to take away whatever 19 multiplied by 2 was. I can actually do that in my head very quickly by doing double 19. I know double 19 is equal to 38. If you're not able to do double 19 in your head, you could quickly just solve it over here, 19 times 2. I subtract 47 minus 38. I'm going to regroup here. That leaves me with 9. My next step is to bring down the next digit. My next digit here is a 6. Again, I'm going to use my rounding method. 19 is rounded to 20 and 96 is rounded to 100. That means I think 5 groups of 19 will fit in. Let's try 19 times 5 to see if I was correct. 5 times 9 is equal to 45. 5 times 1 is 5, add the 4 is 9. Yes, it's correct. 5 groups of 19 will fit. Now I need to do the subtraction again and subtract 95. 96, subtract 95 will leave me with 1. My final step is to bring down the final digit, which is 19. How many times does 19 go into 19? It fits 1 time. So your answer was 251. Whether you use chunking or the formal method, you should have got the answer 251. Can I ask you now to have a go at these reasoning questions, but before you start, I've got 2 tips. For this set of questions here, you're going to need to convert in order to answer them. And for this timeline questions or timetable question, you're going to have to use a number line, because remember, you can't use a column addition and column subtraction in order to find out different time intervals. Please pause the video now and try all 4 of these questions. Okay, for the place value question, you were asked to find the largest odd number. If it's an odd number, it needs to end in an odd digit, and now I'm trying to make the largest possible number, 6,647. The smallest even number. When I'm looking for the smallest possible even number, I know my final digit has to be even, but I'm trying to make the smallest number, so I'm actually going to put the smallest digit at the beginning. I then want to use the 6 to make it an even number, and to make it smaller, do I put 67 or 76? I put my smallest possible digits first. A number that's less than 5,000, well, anything with 4 in the thousands column, whether that was 4,667 or 4,766. Finally, the numbers closest to 7,000. You need to think carefully here, because it could either be a number in the 7,000s or it might perhaps be a number in the 6,000s. In order to answer this question, I would probably think to myself, what is the lowest number in the 7,000s and what's the highest number in the 6,000, which is closer? So my lowest 7,000 number would be 7,466. I know that's 466 away from 7,000. My highest possible 6,000 would be 6,764. And I know that is just 236 away from 7,000. Therefore, actually, the number closest to 7,000 didn't begin with 7,000 at all. It was 6,764. Okay, for the next group of questions, I need to convert them all. Remember, we don't convert them all to a fraction because then we might have to convert it again to have the same denominator. So to convert everything into a decimal or a percentage is the easiest way to do this. 0.4, which I know is 0.40, 400ths is 0.04. Now I can very easily see that 0.4 is greater and 14% is greater because 14% is 0.14. Again, I'm not going to convert into a fraction. I'm going to convert the fraction away from a fraction. Here you can either convert it into tenths and then convert it into a decimal of 0.6, or you could use your known facts, but that's going to be 0.6. 0.8 is greater. 8% is not equal to 0.8 because 8%, that's 8 out of 100, that's 0.08. If you said they were equal, you fell in a trap there. 0.8 is greater. Okay, my next ones are 90% and 9 out of 100. 9 out of 100 as a percentage would be 9%. So I'm going to say that's larger. And here this would be equal to 99%. So I can see that's larger. Can you see it doesn't matter whether you convert to decimals or percentages, but try and avoid converting to fractions. Right, this one I'm going to convert them all to decimals. That's 0.1. This is also 0.1. 1% is not equal to 0.1, it's 0.01. Therefore, these are equal, and here 0.1 is greater. Finally, this last one, let's convert them all to percentages. 3%, 0.03 is also 3%, and 3/10. Be careful here, that's 30 over 100. That's 30%. 30% is greater, these two are equal. Okay, now I've got my bus timetable. How long is the journey from Leek to Sandville on the 9:28 bus? I need to look at the bus at Leek and what time it leaves, it's 9:28. So I'm looking in this column here. It arrives in Sandville at 10:13. I cannot use column subtraction because remember, there are 60 minutes in an hour rather than 100. So I will use a number line and I will use 2 jumps. First, I'll jump to the next hour, which is 10 o'clock. I know in order to do that, I'd add 32 minutes. Now I'm going to add on however many more minutes, which is 13. 32 add 13 is going to be equal to 45 minutes. The bus took 45 minutes. Okay, the next question then, James arrives at the Milton bus stop at 9:29. How many minutes must he wait for the next bus? Well, this time he's arriving at the bus stop at 9:29, so that would go at the beginning of my number line, 9:29. How long does he have to wait for the next bus? Well, the next bus is at 9:41. You could have done this in 1 jump or you could have done it in 2 jumps, but either way you're having to get from 29 to 41, adding there a total of 12 minutes. Okay, finally, we're working out the value or the size of angle X. In order to find angle X, there's so many different things that you could have done, but I think the simplest thing to do would be to remember the number of or the total degrees on a straight line. I know the total degrees on a straight line is 180. I'm now going to take away the part of the straight line that I know, which is 150, leaving me with 30 degrees for angle X. X was equal to 30 degrees. Okay, well done for doing all of those arithmetic and reasoning problems. We're now going to start today's main learning. Please take a moment now to write the date, the WALT, and solve these brief do now questions. Remember, it's really important to do all of the learning in the video. Just like when you're at school, we need to do our morning arithmetic, reasoning, and do now questions. So please have a go at doing that now. Okay, I'm going to go through the answers now. There are 600 pupils at Coppingham Primary School. Work out how many pupils travel to school by train, car, cycling and walking. I'm going to start by walking because I can see that's a really easy fraction of 1/2. I'm not asked for what fraction though, I'm asked for how many people. If you wrote a half, you did not read the question carefully enough. Quickly go back now and fix your mistake. What is a half of the total number of pupils? Well, it's equal to 300. I'd next look at train because I can see that's a quarter. 1/4 of 600 would be 150. My final step then is I can see these two here are eighths. I'm just going to half what a quarter is. Half of 150 is 75. So both of those values would have been 75 people. In total, that would make 600 people. I've counted all of the pupils at primary school. Okay, today we're going to be reading scales and we're going to read a variety of scales and a variety of different measuring implements. But first, we're just going to look at some simple number lines. Now, the correct method in order to find out what you're counting is to follow these 3 simple steps. This works on all number lines, so it's important you know these 3 simple steps. Whilst this number line may look quite simple, you may encounter some harder ones later. The first step is to work out the difference between the 2 known values that you have. Here, I can see I'm going from 0 to 100. So I know my total gap or the total difference is 100 take away 0, that's 100. This whole section of the number line is worth a total of 100. Your next step, or step 2, is to count the increments. Now, when you're doing this, you don't ever start the one you don't ever count the one you're starting from. You count the jumps. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, there are 10 increments. That tells me in order to find the value of each increment, I would do the total divided by what it's split into, which is 10. 100 divided by 10 is equal to 10. Yes, I know for this one you might have guessed it was 10, but remember some of the questions will be getting harder as we go through. Now I know that the increments are each worth 10, it will be easy to find me the value of the arrows. Where you see the red arrows, that's the one I'm going to model. The green arrow will be one you'll try yourself. I know each value is 10, so that'd be 10, 20, 30. Quickly find the value of the green arrow yourself. Well done if you said the green arrow was worth 80. Okay, in this example, you can see it's the same number line, so I know that my increments are still worth 10. However, here you can see the arrow is pointing halfway in between the increments. When you've got questions like that, you need to work out the value on either side and then find halfway between 0, 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. I know, of course, halfway between 40 and 50 would be 45. Please, can you find the value of the green arrow now? So you should have started by writing this is 70 and this is 80. Halfway in between 70 and 80 is 75. Well done if you got that one. Okay, you can see here, this is one of those harder number lines I was talking about. I cannot just guess that I'm counting in tens here. I've got 200 at the beginning of my scale and I've got 1,600 at the end. So I'll have to use my 3 steps. First of all, I need to subtract to find the value of my number line. So I'm going from 200 to 1,600. I'll subtract those two values. 1,600 take away 200 gives me 1,400. I know this whole section of the number line is worth 1,400. Next, I need to count how many increments there are, remembering not to count the one I'm starting from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that tells me there are 7 jumps in total to get from 200 to 1,600. My final step then is to divide to find out what each section is. You can think of it like a fraction and you can see this is the whole and it's been split into 7 equal parts. I want to know the value of one part. 1,400 divided by 7. I know 14 divided by 7 is 2, so my answer here will be 200. Each increment is worth 200. Now that we've worked out each increment is worth 200, you should be able to find each of the values. I'm going to find the green arrow, then you're going to find the blue and the red ones. 200, 400, 600, 800. The value of the green arrow is 800. Please use a similar method to find the blue one, and then remember how you find the red one. Pause the video to have a go. 800, 1,000, 1,200. The answer for this one was 1,200. If you said it was 1,000, you just counted in hundreds rather than 200s. For the next one then, I'd go, this is 1,600, this is 1,800, and here is 2,000. If each jump is worth 200, half a jump will be 100. The red arrow is pointing to 1,900. Okay. Have a look at this one then. Pause the video and see if you can work out what those arrows are. If you find it tricky, we'll go through it step by step together. Start by working out each increment. Subtract to find the total, divide it by the number of jumps, and then you've got each increment's value. Have a go now, and I'll help you in a moment if you're stuck. So my starting value is 2.5. and my finishing value is 6.5. That means to find the total, I'm doing 6.5 subtract 2.5. 5 minus 5 is 0 and 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. My total number line value is 4. Now I need to find out how many jumps there were. Don't count the one you start from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 different increments. That tells me then to find each increment, I'm doing 4 divided by 8. I know that that would be equal to 4/8, which is equal to 1/2, which is 0.5. Or you could have done that using the bus stop method. How many 8s fit into 4? You'd have had to regroup there in order to find the answer 0.5. Either way, each increment has the value of 0.5. Please use that information to find the green and the blue arrow if you haven't done so already. So the green arrow, we'd say 2.5, 3, 3.5. This green arrow here is pointing at 3.5. To find the blue one, I'll actually count backwards from 6.5. 6, 5.5. This one had a value of 5.5. Now to find this red one, remember I need to label both values on either side. This will be 4 and this is 4.5. Which is halfway between 4 and 4.5. I'll put that 0 in to help you. Label the red one if you didn't have it already. It will be 4.25. Half of 0.5 is 0.25. Let's have a look at that then when it's on some measuring implements. When we're looking at these ones, when I say subtract to find the value, we can just look in between these two values here. That tells me that I'm doing 250, take away 0. My total is 250. Okay, now how many increments have I got? Don't count the one you're starting from. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 increments. So finally, I'm doing 250 divided by 5. That means each interval has a value of 50 millilitres. I looked at the first two values I knew and I divided it by the number of increments. You have, I'm going to show you how to do this one as well. So I'm looking at the two values I know, 100 and 0. I know then that that section is worth 100. Now I count my increments. Don't count the one you're starting from. 1, 2, 3, 4. That then was 100 divided by 4 increments. 100 divided by 4 is 25. We're looking at 25 millilitres. If you counted and you found you were doing 100 divided by 5, what you've probably done there is counted 0. Remember, we don't ever count 0. We jump from 0 and start counting on the next. I'd like you to please pause the video now and work out what this jug is counting in increments of. What's the total? How many steps? Do your division. So the total is 50 in between 0 and 50. Now we count our increments. Do not count 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 50 divided by 5 means we're counting in increments of 10 millilitres. When you're writing your answer on paper for today's lesson, please make sure you're writing your unit of measurement. Right, so using that previous jug, we've already worked out then that each increment is worth 10 millilitres. We're just going to find the value of each of these arrows. I'm going to do the red ones, then you're going to do the green ones. Okay, to find A, I could either count forwards from 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, or I could save myself some time and count backwards from 50, 40 millilitres. If you haven't been putting your unit of measurement so far, please make sure you do now. To find B, I'll go from 150 and count forwards, 160, 170 millilitres. You quickly write down now the value of C and D. To find C, you could have gone backwards from 100 to get to 90 millilitres, and to find D, I would have gone 100, 110, 120, 130 millilitres. Well done if you found those values correctly. Right, let's have a look at this one then. Can you please find what each jug is counting in? We know the total is 100. Let's see how many increments there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 100 divided by 5. I know that that's going to be 20 millilitres. Each increment is going to be worth 20 millilitres. Again, I'm going to show you the A and B, then you're going to do C and D. So now I'm counting in units of 20. From 100, 120, 140. A is 140 millilitres. B is halfway between the two measurements. So I'd write down the measurement on either side. 0, 20, 40 and 60. I'm looking for halfway between 40 and 60. I know half of 20 is 10, so I know it's going to be 50 millilitres. Have a go at C and D. You can see C is pointing exactly at the line, but D is halfway through. Please write down the values of C and D now. 300, 320, 340, 360 for C, and value D, 200, 220, 240 is here, 260 is above, halfway between is 250. Now I said make sure you include your unit of measurement, so please write those down if you did not. Okay, what I'd like you to do now is watch how I solve this slightly harder reasoning problem. First, I need to add, I'm asked what the total amount in both jugs is. First, I need to work out what the increment I'm counting is. I see in between 0 and 50 is a value of 50. What's how many increments? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 50 divided by 5 is equal to 10. I'm counting in tens, that tells me. So let's work out the value of jug 1. We've got 50, 60, 70, 80 millilitres. And in jug 2, I can see it's the same jug with the same increments. So I'm going 100, 110, 120, 130. 80, add 130 millilitres. The total then will be 210 millilitres. 80, add 130. You have a go then at this question. In this question, both jugs have the same increments, so you only need to do that part of it once. Pause the video now and have a go at these questions. So we've got a total value of 100. Let's work out the value of each increment. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 100 divided by 4, so each jump is worth 25 millilitres. Now that I know each jump is worth 25 millilitres, I can see that's 100, 125, 150. In the second one, I can see that's 225. I'm now adding together 150 and 225. That will give me 375 millilitres. Well done if you got that correct. Have a go at this one now, but be warned, this one is slightly harder because you're dealing with two different scales. Work out scale 1, then scale 2, find your totals and add them up. In the first one, I've got 250 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, divided by 5. Each increment then is 50 millilitres. If each increment is 50 millilitres, I'll use that fact to find the missing line. 250, 300, 350, 400. So I'm looking for 400 millilitres here. On the second one, I need to work out the different scale. Here's 0, here's 100, and it's been split into 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one then has a value of 25 millilitres. That means this here, 400, add 25 will be 425. Add those up and you would have 825 millilitres. Don't forget your unit of measurement. Okay, pause the video and have a go at this one if you would like, but I'm going to whiz through now because I don't want the video to be too long. So have a go at this one if you want, otherwise we'll keep on going. We'll just look very, very quickly then at a different type of measurement. Here you can see we've got litres. In order to do this one, you need to know this fact. 1 litre is equal to 1,000 millilitres. Once you've worked that out, you'll be able to find each increment. So if I'm doing this one, I need to know 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres. And then I'm counting my increments 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That tells me each jump is 1,000 divided by 10, which is 100 millilitres. So if I'm looking for this value here, that would be 3,000, 3,100, 3,200 millilitres. Or if I wanted to put my answer in litres, I would say 3.2. This one here then, 2,000, I know that larger one is the middle, so that'd be 2,500, 2,600, 2,700 millilitres, 2,700 millilitres or 2.7 litres. Have a go at C and D. Pause the video now and have a go at C and D. C is 4,500 or 4.5. Sorry, 4,500 millilitres or 4.5 litres. And D is 1,400 millilitres or 1.4 litres. Both answers would be correct. Okay, when you're looking at this one then, in exactly the same way, you'll have to work out what your increments are. This is 1,000. Always think of it as 1,000 and it's been split by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1,000 divided by 5. I know each increment then is going to be worth 200 millilitres. Okay, so if you could please now find the value of A and B. Pause the video if you need to. Find the value of A and B. A is 4,200 millilitres, or we know that's 4.2 litres. In B, you can see it's halfway between two. 3,000, 3,200, 3,400, or 3,600 up here. Halfway between them would be 3,500 millilitres, or 3.5 litres. Right, we're going to skip through these questions. I think you'll be able to do it. We've done lots and lots of examples. We're now going to look at some reasoning problems though. Max is making a jug of squash. First he puts some squash and then he fills in the jug and then he fills the rest with water. How much water has he used? I know he's going to fill the jug, so I'm looking to get to 500. He puts some water in the jug and he fills the rest with water. That means I'm looking for this part here, and in order to find the part I'll need to subtract. I'll do 500, take away however much squash is in there. Well, let's work out however much squash is in there then. I can see that's 100. Let's split it between 1, 2, 3, 4. Each increment is 25 millilitres. That means that's 100, 125, 150. 500 subtract 150 millilitres will be equal to 350 millilitres. How much water has he used? I know that's the rest. I know that's going to be a subtraction. In this question, then, it says, Idan is sending some parcels to his sister for her birthday. He weighs 2 parcels. How much did they weigh? I'm looking for a total. I know that's going to be addition. First, I need to work out my increments. Here's 0, here's 100, divided by 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking at increments of 25 grams. 800, subtract 25, all count forwards from 700, 700, 725, 750, 775 grams. Add 200, 225 grams. Okay, that's going to regroup, and that will be 1,000 grams, which I also know is equivalent to 1 kilogram. Postage costs 3p per 10 grams. How much will it cost to post? Well, first I need to know how many 10 grams would fit. 1,000 divided by 10 is going to be 100. There's 100 groups of 10 in that, and each 10 grams costs 3p. Times that by 3, and you have 300 pence, or £3. I would like you now to pause the video and have a go at this question. It says, Mary has 2 jugs of water. She knocks over the smaller jug and spills 200 millilitres of the water. How much does she have left? So it's a 2-part problem. I'm looking for the total, take away the water she spilled. Have a go at it now. The total in this jug was 350, and the total in this jug was 500. Before I add them together, I'm going to need to take away the 200 millilitres that was spilt. That leaves me 150 millilitres in this one. I'd add that to the 500, giving me 650 millilitres of water in total. Well done if you got that. Chloe is making some jam. She needs 1.9 kilograms of strawberries. How much more does she need in grams? We know that the phrase how much more, how much less means subtract. The only difference in this question is this is in kilograms, whereas this is in grams. So find how much she has and do a subtraction. Off you go. Don't forget to pause the video if you need to. I'll be going through the answers in a moment. Okay, here I'm going from 0 to 200 in 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. 200 divided by 4 means that each step is going to be worth 50. So 600, 650, 700, 750. She so far has 750 grams of strawberries. She needs 1.9 kilograms. I convert that first by timesing by 1,000. That's 1,900 grams. How much more? There's my subtraction. 1,900 subtract 750. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 5 is not possible. 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 7 is 1, and 1 there. 1,100 grams needed more. Okay, we're going to skip that question as well. I'm just going to explain to you what you need to do for your work then. For these questions here, you're just finding the values of each scale. Please label them as they've been labelled on the worksheet, 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, for example. From question 8 to 16, you're solving some word problems based on the scales. Remember how to find and read the scales before you try and solve the word problems. For this reasoning question, I'd like you to have a go at. The first one everyone can do. The second one, actually, I think it would be easier. You could either draw this scale, or if you're not printing out the sheet, just skip that question. This reasoning question here is a bit like one of those algebra shaped problems that we saw the other day. So if you want to, you could have a go at that question in the same way as you've been doing those algebra shaped problems. I'd like you now, please, to pause the video and have a go at solving all of this work. Once you've completed your independent work, don't forget to come back onto the video because we're about to go through the answers. Please do remember it's important to watch the whole video, but at this point we're going to have a break whilst you complete your independent work. If you get stuck with any of the questions, please go back and re-watch the relevant sections of the video that should help you with your work. Going through our answers now then, we're going to go through the answers. Please make sure you are not continuing to watch this video until you have finished all of the independent work by yourself. It's essential that you are showing honesty in your work and integrity by completing it and then going through the answers. For this question, I know that there are 5 large jumps, each one worth 100, And within that large jump, I can see there's 10 sections, so each small jump is worth 10. This one was 120, and here we're looking for 10 before 400, which is 390. In the next question, I can see the jump there is 20, and it's split into 1, 2, 3, 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So here that's 5 less, 955. And in this question, I'm going to have to keep on going in 5s until I get to here. 980, 985, 990, 995, 1,000, 1,005, 1,010. The answer for this one was, 1,010. My pen has stopped working for some reason. That should say 1,010. Okay, looking at your next question then. The large jumps are worth from 0 to 1,000, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 large jumps. 1,000 divided by 4 is equal to 250. Let's look then at the smaller jumps. And what they are worth. Or another way of solving it is we could write on what each of those steps are. Let's do it like that. This is 250 here. This is 500. This is 750. This was a very tricky one. Okay. If I'm counting then in between 0 and 250, each little jump there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 250 divided by 10 is 25. Each smaller jump is worth 25. So if this is 250, let's count in 25s. 275, 300, 325, 350, 375 for this one here. And then I know this one already is pointing at 750. That was an especially hard one, so don't worry if you found that one tricky. For this next question, please remember to do your conversion, or you can use decimal numbers. I know that 1 divided by the number of increments will give me each jump. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 divided by 10 is equal to 0.1. So each increment is worth 0.1. That means this is 0.2 litres, and this here is 0.9 litres. Well done if you got those ones. For your next answers then, we're looking at the arrow in between 100 and 200 is 150. For this one, in between 120 and 140 is 130. And here it's a tiny bit blurry, but you should be able to make out that that's 1,300 grams. I've just realised I forgot my unit of measurement for these ones, which does actually make them wrong. So please go back and add your unit of measurement in if you forgot. Right, now the reasoning questions. How much water does Steve have? Steve has 170 millilitres. Steve wants to fill the jug to 200 millilitres. How much water should he pour in? Another 30 millilitres. How many jugs would he have to fill to have 1 litre of water? Convert 1 litre to 1,000 millilitres. How many times does 200 millilitres fit into 1,000 millilitres? 1,000 divided by 200, that would be equal to 5 jugs. Well done if you said the answer was 5 jugs here. Next group of questions then. It says, how much does Amanda's parcel weigh? In between 700 and 800 is 750 grams. Steve has a parcel which weighs 1.2 kilograms. How much heavier is his parcel than Amanda's? I know how much heavier is a comparison, a subtraction. First, I'll convert that to 1,200 grams. Now I'll subtract 750. 1,200 subtract 750. 0 here, I'll regroup to here, 5 goes here, and this will be 4. 450 grams heavier. Your next question says, which jug contains more water? Explain why. For this one, if you said jug B, because you can see there's more water in it, you got it wrong. Whilst the water is higher in jug B, it's a much, much narrower jug. So we need to actually read each scale. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps to 500. Each jump is worth 100. That tells me then in jug A, I'm looking at exactly 400 millilitres of water. Sorry, that's meant to say 400. In jug B, I can see it's 0 to 100 in 1, 2, 3, 4. 100 divided by 4 is 25. That means in jug B, I'm looking at 325 millilitres of water. Your answer should then have said jug A has more water, as that is 400 millilitres, whilst jug B is 325 millilitres. Isabel needs 1 litre of water. If she combines both jugs together, that's step 1, how much more will she need? Step 1 is combining, we know that's adding. How much more is subtracting? So first we'll add them. 400 add 325. We can do that in our head, it's 725. Sorry, 725. My next step of the problem is asking me how much more is needed. In order to solve this part of the problem, I will have to, of course, do a conversion. I can't do 1 take away 725. 1 litre I know is 1,000 millilitres. 1,000 take away 725 is how I'm going to find my answer. All right. When you're solving that, you can do it in your head or you can do it with the written method. However, you should have got the answer 275 millilitres or 0.275 litres. Either would be correct. Your final group of questions then, it says, what's the temperature at point A? You can see this is negative numbers. Each one is worth 1, minus 7 degrees. The temperature on the scale shows the average temperature of Moscow in January. In February, the temperature is 12 degrees higher. What's the average temperature in February? I'm doing minus 7, add 12. First, I'll add 7 to get to 0, and then I can add another 8 to take me to the total of 8 degrees. I think. Yeah. Okay, if you were solving this question, it was kind of an algebra. I was sort of thinking you might say two tins plus, or no, sorry, think of it like a shape problem, I said, didn't I? So if it's a shape problem, I need to subtract to find the difference. The difference on the right, between the left and the right is the 2 cylinders. So if I subtract the tins, that will tell me the weight of, sorry, if I subtract, first we identify what's the same. The similarity in both boxes is the tin. Okay, so I'm going to do 1.6 take away 1.3. That will give me 0.3. That tells me 2 tins has a difference of 0.3. To find 1 tin, that's 0.15 or 150 grams. If you got as far as 0.3, well done, but remember it's 2 tins, not just the one. For this question, it was asking you to mark 250 millilitres of water on this scale. It would be there on this scale because here we're doing 1 litre divided by 4. Okay, well done to everyone who finished watching all of the questions and who has completed all of the learning in today's lesson. Remember, it's really important to complete every single question and to watch the entire video. Well done, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.